Yeah, Ty, you're muted.
So I'm the only one that's muted today, huh?
Yeah.
How's everyone doing?
I'm doing good. What's up,
So
guys?
we're joined tonight by a new face, new friend, Dane. How are you, man?
I'm great. How you guys doing?
You know, I was telling you guys the shingle story. You got these people working on the house in Boston. I don't know if any of you live in a city, but generally the houses are pretty close together, and they're dropping shingles everywhere and nails and stuff, and they're all in my yard. So now I have to deal with it, not the company. So beautiful. I'm great today.
It's a goddamn travesty.
It's the little things. Little things.
They add up.
They really do, man. And speaking of little things, man, I found you because of a little debate that was going around. And I always love when someone puts the heat to Geeks and Gamers, or any channel like Geeks and Gamers that does like the hate stuff and, generally makes a profit on terrible, right?
Yeah.
Terribleness. So how did that happen? Like, how did you guys set that up beforehand, or how did that work?
Well, I mean, I don't know how much of my channel you've checked out other than that, but that's basically what my channel is. It's what I set out to do, was to, I kind of got into, wanting to look into this anti-SJW stuff because I've been a comics fan all my life. I went through a period of a few years back where I wasn't really reading them current books. And I started hearing about, these SJWs that are ruining comics and stuff like that. And I'm like, what the hell, man? Who are these SJWs ruining my comics? And so I started looking into it, and I was like, what are they talking about? This shit's pretty good. These comics are great. For the most part. I mean, like any other time in comics history, some are great, some aren't so great. That's what happens.
Yeah.
But it wasn't what they were making it out to be. And I got really curious about it. And, this is like 2015 or so, 2016. And, it was around the same time as a lot of the other similar stuff in other areas of culture and politics that were, these types of attitudes that were rising up and becoming much louder. Right.
Right.
And so I just started looking into it, and it took me a few years to, really build up the, I guess the confidence to be on camera, and public speaking and stuff has not really been something I've been great at or done at all in the past. But yeah, and then late 2018 or 2019, sorry. I started making videos just addressing some of the stuff here and there that I thought was pretty silly. And to my surprise, pretty quickly, it was like I was getting attention from some of the people that I was talking about, like with just a couple of hundred subscribers, you know what I mean? And then like these guys with thousands and thousands are like getting upset by my little channel. I'm like, well, I must be onto something.
That sounds very familiar, because it happened to me when I first started too. Like, I had 300 subs. I did one stream talking about, because it was, what was it, the Phoebe Waller-Bridge controversy with Indiana Jones 5. I was like, this is stupid. I had like some friends on, and then Enosh from the Poindexter Lounge came on. He said something, and Jeremy got so offended by it, he dedicated an entire stream to it.
Oh, that's how that happened.
And that led to Jeremy and him having that debate, because it was over my stream, and I had 300 subs.
So
like, I don't know how they found it, but they did.
With the specific debate thing, I'd never done a debate. I'd actually decided early on that I wasn't gonna do any debates because, for one, like I said, I've never been great at public speaking. I've had anxiety problems and stuff. A lot better now. I've like worked through a lot of that, and I'm much better at public speaking, I suppose. But for the longest time, I was like, I'm not gonna do it, because even if I'm 100% factually correct, and I get on a stream with some of these guys and they just like basically go aggro and mock me and bully me to their audience, they're going to get the optics of a win. Right. So I was just like, there's no benefit to doing that. But then I saw this dude, Lyndon Hall, talking shit on Twitter. He's starting trouble by like, mocking Gail Simone. And then he's like basically
mad when she responds.
Yeah, and then whenever some people were responding to him, like specifically women, he was retweeting women and, basically saying sexual assault stuff to them. Like, you need a good dicking.
What?
Yeah, dude, that's what set me off. Like, I've seen chuds say all kinds of stuff before, but like when you're like directly telling women on Twitter
would you call them chuds?
Yeah, chuds. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to use that.
It's just,
But-
you know, a blanket term that's like non-offensive to anybody, really. It's a good way to, you know, kind
I
of
like
lump them
it.
all together. But yeah, I said something about it, and then I decided you know what, I just started streaming on a regular basis recently, by the way. Like I've just made video essays for the most part. But
yeah, we like so I've only been doing this for like a year or so, and we didn't do like live streaming originally, but it's like it's a good way to like interact with people and do
yeah,
it that way. And then for a while, even recently, it wasn't consistent because I was doing some stuff, going through some stuff, had people leaving the show, you know. So I'm starting to get back to like a routine schedule. So I definitely feel you on that.
yeah. So I happened to hop on stream. I was kind of steaming mad at this dude last Friday night. And I hopped on stream and I just started he'd written this article and I didn't realize at first that he was a writer for Geeks and Gamers. I didn't know that when I first started to
So
address it. And I see this.
Can you pause there? So
Yeah.
Geeks, this is what I kind of wanted to ask, because there are some things that I don't. RJ knows, like the Doomcock guy, the Geeks and Gamers stuff. This is all new to me. I never really paid attention to it. So Geeks and Gamers has a website that they write on.
They have their own brand. It's like I would describe it kind of like it's evolved into being a network of other creatives besides Jeremy. You have like Josiah Rises, you know, other people on there too. The website's something independent too. It's kind of connected to the YouTube channel too. They have other writers and stuff. So they're trying to like branch out and I guess be like a legit competitor to like what they consider the mainstream geek
Right, like Cinema
culture.
Blend, Screen Rant, all
Yep.
those like. Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Sorry about that. I will not pause you again.
No worries, man. I mean, you know, if I can answer any questions or if RJ can, RJ is very knowledgeable as well. So, yeah, it's I hopped on. I just started kind of mocking his article was titled "My Truth." It was like he was some kind of, you know, I mean, come on, you know what I mean? Like my truth. And you know, just this tongue-in-cheek, real, you know, like cynical bullshit. Like, you know, I was attacked by a hate mob of Gail Simone
even his
fans.
initial tweet said, "Of course, you would say you like this movie, right?" And it's like Gail Simone said she liked the Eternals. What's wrong with that?
Well, like, he also said, you know, of course you said you would say you like it, and then he's like, you would like race swapped, gender swapped robot, like just really reductive, you know, casually bigoted type of stuff. You know, I mean, no, it's not like outright hatred, but I mean, when your criticism is race swapping and gender swapping, I just feel like you're not coming from a place of genuine fandom, or, you know, it just, you know, like I said, I've been a fan all my life, and it doesn't upset me when they race swap or gender swap. I mean, it's not real. That's not even really what happens in most cases. And to be honest, when it comes to the Eternals, who really liked the Eternals until recently? You know what I mean? Like I know a lot about Marvel Comics, and I really didn't know shit about the Eternals.
They were the niche of the niche, right?
Yeah.
I mean, listen,
I'm gonna have to agree with you there, because I knew who the Eternals were. I did a video a long time ago about who they were, just because they had just announced the movie. But I knew at that time that video wasn't going to do well, because no one cared, because the movie was so far out. I didn't even care, and I won't pretend to care, because there was a couple runs that were fun, but for the most part, they're characters that mostly take a back seat.
They haven't known what to really do with them in a lot of cases. So like
I mean, they were really just like a passion project for Kirby. It's the best way to describe it, right?
And then every once in a while they'd get like Neil Gaiman to do a run, and that's a good run, but it's like it's not the same. You know, we talked about it on
the hardcore comic fans. Like they're not very mainstream. They're like, not that they're bad characters, but they're like really far out in like that D-list range. Not because
they're just characters. They're so high concept.
Yeah,
like they're so high concept, and like, you know, when you it's kind of almost the Superman problem to a degree, where like you have characters that are so powerful, and like, you know, Superman is one thing, but you've got like 15 of these people that you know, and they all have they're all really high concept. Jack Kirby created this stuff out of, you know, a desire to almost basically write his own biblical myth,
right?
And so, you know, and from that angle, he did great, but it's like they also didn't have strong characterizations. You know, in the same way that you think of Peter Parker, you think of a strong characterization, or, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was like that. But
There's
point
no
being,
foundation really to like grasp onto. There's no, like you just mentioned Peter Parker. It's like everyone knows who Peter Parker is. These characters, like, they're kind of not really well defined to where they're more malleable when they
yep.
adapt another medium. So
I mean, to the point where now the movie versions are probably going to be the definitive versions of these characters. You know, which is interesting for usually Marvel movies and stuff. The characters on film are kind of defined by what they were in the comics first. But yeah,
Right.
so I hopped on stream and just started mocking this dude, and suddenly he's in my chat, and I was like, oh, you know, and I said, well, I'm not going to be, you know, a coward. Like he said, you know, something about hopping on. I'm like, I'm not going to turn him down. You know, I never wanted to debate. I didn't even think of it as a debate as it was really happening. I was just like, I got questions. You know, that's all I've done since I started looking into this and making content, is just finding questions. And I try to steel man their arguments and like find where they're coming from, because, you know, I don't want to misrepresent anybody. And the more I think about this stuff, the more I think it's hollow, disingenuous, you know, on one hand, or on the other hand, just outright bigoted.
yeah. Well, I found it so interesting. He was watching right away too. I mean, I know what was his comment. Oh, it's like, oh, you called me a shithead. I have to come on here now. It's like, well, I mean, you were kind of being a shithead to women online. It's like,
That's
of
what,
course,
yeah,
there's
that's
no
why I
emotional
said that.
response like that. So
You can say that. So was he saying that? Because I tried to look into it as well as much as I could. So was he saying that Gail Simone attacked him?
Yes, that she like basically he was saying that she you know, the thing that these kind of people do is they'll use what they do and claim that the other people are doing it to them. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
they're
like,
always the victim.
yep.
Always.
Like Comicsgate is well known and well documented as organizing harassment campaigns against creators and stuff like that. So when one or two people criticize Comicsgate, they'll be like, well, they organized a hate mob against us. And, you know, it's like so fucking disingenuous, man. Sorry, is it okay
No,
if
it's
I
okay.
curse?
It's okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, I just was asking him questions and like wanting to know, well, okay, explain this, and then he would explain it, and I'm like, well, that doesn't line up with what you said a minute ago. This is logically inconsistent, and you know, honestly, by the end of it, I was feeling kind of bad for him.
Right. You could tell he was deflated, because defeated's not even the right word.
No,
deflated was like he at the and by I just want to give you recognition where it's due. So you finally got someone at Geeks and Gamers to say we make hate content based on the algorithm. Like, thank you. So
yeah,
you literally got them to spell it out. Someone.
okay. You know, I appreciate that. I will say that all I'll give myself credit for is not that I would say hate, but he didn't say that.
I know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He got,
as far as outrage sensationalism, and just playing to the algorithm, he admitted to all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
No, it's okay. I just, you know, want to make sure that like
100%. But yeah, so that was awesome. And then at the end, you were like, all right, well, just wrap it up. And he was like, well, you don't want to hear about this? And I was like, you could tell he was grasping like for the last couple things. And I was just like, this didn't look so good.
I was watching with my friend. She hadn't seen it the other day, and I was watching it with her. It was the first time I'd really watched it since it happened. And it got to that point, and I'd said, yeah, well, all right, man, thanks. And you know, basically he's like, well, don't, like you said, don't you want to talk? And I was like, man, he just wanted more, I guess, because it actually got way worse for him after that.
Yep.
And it's like, dude, you should have cut your losses.
Yeah, should have wrapped that up right there and been like, yeah, have a good day, man. But he clung to it. So no, it was interesting to watch. It was really fun to watch, and it wasn't like a 3-hour shout match. It was like a 30-minute answer the questions or ask the right questions, hopefully get the answer to them. So I enjoyed it. And I know that a lot of other people around this community did as well, because like that Geeks and Gamers brand, I mean, I've been saying this for a while. They may not change like public perception on a grand scale, but their audience, which is, I mean, if you go down the list of their videos, 600,000, I mean, 60,000, 40,000, like all these people look at Kathleen Kennedy.
100,000, 128,000. It depends on the subject, but they know how to really manipulate the algorithm.
Right.
I mean, I remember when Avengers Endgame was coming out, they had like a Brie Larson video where it's like,
well, that's
the Avengers cast hates Brie Larson. It got almost like 1 million views or something. It's like, what?
Yeah, and that's what I was getting to is these people, they've conditioned almost to now look at Brie Larson or Kathleen Kennedy, and whether or not you agree with these people or you support these people, their audience now sees them with laser eyes and not even human being anymore.
No, it's about the dehumanization of both of them. They don't view them as people.
And that's toting a very dangerous line. Like very dangerous. So yeah, it's scary. How do you think why do you think that channels like that do so well? Both of you.
Go ahead, RJ, if you want.
That's a tough question to answer because I think I don't know if it speaks more to a societal thing where people are really eager to maybe some people say, you know, maybe live in like a more anger inducing hateful time, you know, where people are looking to be to use their outrage, to use their negative emotions in some kind of way to where they feel, oh, I'm bettering society in some way. I'm fighting a culture war. I'm fighting for the preservation of the values I perceive as worthwhile. Or it's really about, maybe it's a combination of this too. Maybe it's also the way the internet's still kind of a wild west in some ways. And it's like, you know, they don't really, I guess it's more so they make them so much money because of the algorithm to where it's like they just want to keep rewarding them. I really don't know what the answer is because even some people who like, I just want to find a video on Spider-Man. I put in Spider-Man in the search bar. I get a video about Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers talking about it getting a Chinese release date and him going off about China and everything. It's like, well, what's up with that? Or I think they have like this theme park, this like park hopper channel where it's like they're getting the families in and invest in like their park hopping theme park stuff. And it's like Geeks and Gamers affiliated. It's like you click on that, you start getting the Geeks and Gamers videos in your recommended feed, right?
Right.
So I don't really know what the answer is. I think it's so complex. I just don't know. I think it's a combination of many different things, which is why the answer is so complex to answer, you know?
It's a very good point, RJ.
Yeah, that's pretty much spot on. Like, yeah, to RJ's point, you know, throughout history, not to get too, you know, sociological, but like throughout history, when societies are distressed in numerous ways, whether it's economically or culturally or whatever, it often turns people against each other. You know, and that typically is a product of just, it's a weird blend of like, you know, human psychology, and that's basically what's happening is, you know, this is not the first time this behavior obviously has existed in society from people, but it is the first time when there's an internet connecting us all. And the algorithm is not designed to, the algorithms with these things, like, I don't know if you've heard about the Facebook leaks a while back. You know, how that
leaks?
Yeah, there was a leaker who for Facebook.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
She came out and talked about how, you know, Facebook knowingly lets designs their algorithm to, you know, cater to the most sensational content. And you know, that's what drives engagement. They don't, you know, that's all it wants. It doesn't want to give us what we want. It wants to give us what we engage with.
Right.
You know,
so that could be either something that's really good or really bad.
Well, the thing is that studies have shown that the thing that is most likely to get people to engage with it without even thinking, because that's what they want, because it's all about advertisement. They want us to engage with ads and shit and see ads. And the way to get people to act without really thinking it through is to piss them off. You know, that's the easiest way to trigger a human into doing things. Basically, you know, you want to get somebody involved in something, you piss them off. And that's what happens. You know what I mean? That's how you get stuff like QAnon, and, you know, where it's like the most outrageous, sensational, you know, there's no evidence for anything. It's just distorted conspiracy nonsense. But because it's so hyperbolic and so, you know, sensational, that people that aren't media literate, people that aren't kind of in cognitive control of their emotional responses to things, are going to just react.
Exactly.
And yeah, so it's like a combination of those things. And then these people are, you know, and this is a question I ask myself, how many of them know that that's what they're doing? And how many of them just kind of like fell into this situation where they're like, oh, if I make this content, then it gets me more clicks and money.
Right.
You know, so that's a never-ending question. I think I have a couple of people nailed down on where they're at with that, but yeah, that's how kind of how I see it.
And like I've talked to people that like were fans or I mean if that's what you want to call them, like fans of Doomcock or Geeks and Gamers, and at the time they don't even realize that what they're being told is there's no fact behind it. It's all you know, like hate mongering and it's all these things that, you know, get you not excited inside. I think that's the wrong word, but it whatever. I think someone said it earlier. Hate fuels hate, and you start getting excited about things and standing behind these people because you don't know any other voice, and it's not till they're on the other side that they realize like, oh my god, I was basically in a cult. Like,
yeah,
you know,
well, sometimes too, I think some people want to find a place they belong with, right? Also, too, so they gravitate to any kind of community they find some kind of commonality with, and it goes into an effect where it's like there might be some pressures where it's like, well, I don't want to overstep or feel like ostracized from this group, so it's like you listen to them more and more, and you start to adopt those ideals, even if you initially didn't believe in them, because you do want to belong in some way, right? So I think that plays a part in it as well.
Yeah, I think we all want to belong somewhere. It's just where we put ourselves, you know? Like, I've never been one to like talk, like do that kind of stuff and or get involved in like the drama or that stuff. So like some days I'll be honest with everybody. Some days I'm like, I probably could do a lot better, like money wise, if I just dropped to their level. I'm not going to say the thought never crossed my mind, and that's scary to me. It really is.
Yeah, you know, and it's really is a matter of and that's in a way I do kind of utilize that on my channel. You know, that's something I'm aware of, that like by engaging with this content the way that I do and by talking about it in a kind of inflammatory, performative way like I sometimes do, you know, I mean, like this, how I'm talking now, this is basically how I talk. But sometimes when I'm on stream or making a video, I'll intentionally punch it up a little bit, you know what I mean, to kind of give them a little bit back what they do. There's of course nothing I can do would be as terrible as the shit they do, but yeah, it's knowingly trying to, you know, just a little bit game that algorithm in a similar way that they do, by being inflammatory and hopefully utilizing that in a more positive way, get some attention on these false narratives and the harm that's caused. But going to what you were saying a minute ago, RJ, and you as well, Ty, like people like to have an enemy and they like to have their biases confirmed. So let's say, you know, somebody's let down by the newest Star Wars trilogy, which is understandable. You know what I mean?
A lot of people were, right? So
right. I mean, I don't like the final one, but you know, it's like whatever. You can. Your people are allowed to have opinions. I'm not. You know, that's one thing I've gotten is, oh, people have a different opinion. You don't like it. No, that's not what it is. Go have your opinion. I don't even care what your opinion is. But when it becomes there's a you know, like these large YouTube channels that are not only confirming telling you you're right for hating this,
right,
but even more, here's the person you should hate for it. It's Kathleen Kennedy, it's Brie Larson, it's fucking Kelly Marie Tran, it's Alex Kurtzman. These are your enemies.
Well, that's what's so interesting too. I think you can really pinpoint the moment the momentum shifted to where you saw this type of content really proliferate, and that was The Last Jedi, right? That was December 2017, specifically January to May 2018 with the release of Solo, right?
Right. And I still stand behind that. Geeks and Gamers did sway Solo numbers.
Oh,
I think they did a little bit. I don't know if I'd give them full credit though, because it was releasing like a couple weeks after Infinity War.
Yeah, the fandom turned on Solo. Like
just
that, yes.
sorry. I just sent a link in the private chat there. I recommend you guys check that out on your on your free time or whatever.
Oh
like that.
yeah, I've heard of this article from Rewriting Ripley. This
It's
really set him off. I remember that they were
of course
really
it did,
angry about
because
this.
it's based in fact. Like they will try to dismiss it and say that it's just SJW snowflakes melting down or whatever the hell they say, and and well, of course, it's also written by women, and that
yeah,
they don't like that.
them off right there. It doesn't matter what they said at that point.
But they cite their sources, and it's honestly brilliant. It's a lot of work went into this. I can tell. There's also a podcast version of it, and they just basically trace the origins of as far as the culture war era of it. It really started with The Force Awakens, and like the shot heard around the world, basically, pun intended, was the first trailer for The Force Awakens when the stormtrooper takes off his helmet and it's John Boyega.
Right.
And that's when the backlash towards The Force Awakens began, and that's really what kind of solidified these types of people into realizing, oh, we can come together and we can make a lot of noise and have a big impact in the fandom discourse, and even in some cases towards the media itself.
Yeah. I don't mean to get too political too, but it goes back to that thing where all of it connects to politics in some way. You can trace the line where all these people are connected in some way too, where it's like, that's fascinating too. But the reason I pinpoint that to the Last Jedi thing too is that what happened with that? You had a lot of Star Wars fans in the middle age demographic, right? Who were very upset about the handling of what they deemed to be their childhood favorite hero, Luke Skywalker, and just the general plot of that movie, which is fine. I'm mixing that movie too, and that's totally fine. But what happened, right? I don't know if they did this intentionally or if it was just by pure lucky stance. They were able to attract the market that really hated that movie, and they were like, come to our side. Let's make videos explaining to you guys why this movie's so bad, and let's mobilize to express our discontent with the entire franchise at this point. Let's start a revolution, basically, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of just the way it went.
I mean, you're spot on. I would just say that, like I said a second ago, that kind of you said that they kind of happened into it. Not really, because it really started with The Force Awakens. So, like, by the time The Last Jedi came around, it was primed. The people were primed. They were ready to really get into it. Like, The Force Awakens was kind of the them waking up to realizing the power that they might actually be able to have with the media and fandoms and stuff. And yeah, like you said, by the time The Last Jedi came around, that was the stage was set. And
I wonder too if you could maybe connect that as well to the MCU situation a little bit too. Because think about it, Black Panther comes out first, right? Big cultural milestone movie. Changed a lot. Whatever you think about the movie, of course, withstanding, I'm just saying it was a big moment, right? What was the movie that came out right after? Right?
After Black Panther?
Well, it was Infinity War, right? And then it was Ant-Man. I'm just saying, like, Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man. You have those three come out, right?
Okay.
But it's like, I feel like you could maybe compare it to like that kind of situation too, where it's like Captain Marvel was their Last Jedi moment. It's like they were primed and ready to go, and that was the movie as well.
Okay.
Right? Different franchise, but I feel like a lot of the playbook was used as well a little bit.
Can I ask a question that I'm embarrassed about even having to ask? I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I like it in the general sense, where I'm like a general audience member. So the fandom Menace, right? I've tried to ask Enosh before, and it got into this convoluted answer. What exactly is the fandom Menace? Is it a group of people? Is it a channel? An outlet?
Well, it used to be a group of people, but then for whatever reason, the last year or so, they've said we're not really Fandom Menace anymore. We don't want to associate with that, and that had to do with the fallout between Jesse Milestone and World Class Bullshitters and all those people. They had a big falling out, like the Nerdrotic and stuff. Now I categorize the Fandom Menace as really just the Friday Night Tights. That circle's really the main group, I think, at this point now. There's still the other ancillary channels, but I think the Friday Night Tights are like the main clique, I would say, right now. So
it is Geeks and Gamers.
he's part of it still, yeah. He says he's not a fan of Menace, but he kind of still is. You know,
the thing to keep in mind, I feel like, is and if you've seen some of my recent videos, I've been really like, before I really started streaming regularly a couple of weeks ago, I laid out basically my channel thesis within a few videos, basically the operating foundation that I work from, and it's fascism, man. Like, you talk about the alt-right, how what is the alt-right? It's a nebulous term, but it's an umbrella term that, and part of it by design, it's not something that they don't wear shirts that say I'm alt-right usually. You know what I mean? They don't they don't
unless it's a Make America Great
but like MAGA fits under there, but then so do so do the white nationalists, and so like it's just this umbrella term for these people, and it allows them the wiggle room to say that they're not technically a group. It's just like, and they get the perception of being a movement, and as if it's something valid. You know what I mean? So it's these terms are nebulous, or in a sense that, like, you can't pinpoint oftentimes who's part of what on purpose. And it's basically the fandom Menace is the movie, TV, Star Wars, Star Trek version of Comicsgate. And there's a lot of overlap.
I was gonna mention, TW brought up in the chat, God, that was so stupid, that Make Wakanda Great Again thing. It's like Black Panther was secretly an alt-right movie. I'm like,
I've got a video about I addressed that on stream the other day, and I got a video. I'm gonna put the clip up tomorrow. So
there is actually, and I'll give Jeremy this. I did find a video of him praising Black Panther. And
yeah, I covered that nonsense. It's dishonest. It's like,
you think it's dishonest?
It's absolutely dishonest, because he praises it because there's and I covered it in this video. I wish I would have uploaded it already, but like there was a movement to, this is the thing that the alt-right does. They try to co-opt things. So Black Panther, one of the ways that they did that was to say, well, they just flat out said that it's like bigoted against white people, right? That's one way that they weaponize that media. But then the more insidious thing, which is what Jeremy Griggs and then some others did, just people on the alt-right in general, is tried to say they co-opt it by saying that it's actually agrees with their politics, because Wakanda is anti-immigration. Wakanda is they restrict trade. And I talk about it on stream. I go through the list, and it's like, on a superficial level, that kind of does seem intuitively accurate, but only in the sense that you're looking at it with Americanized context.
Yeah.
And Wakandan context, if you look at actual African context, which is what it's based on, it's completely different thing.
So much. It's the context of it is so key in this situation.
Not to mention that by the end of the Black Panther film, T'Challa denounces all of that stuff.
Right.
And they
learns from the mistake of not necessarily even a mistake, because Wakanda is
they did what they thought was best for their people.
They did for their people, for the greed of the rest of the world with the technologies that they had at hand. Like, there are so many other things that go into it. It's not even, but I see an idea is still, and I don't care what anyone says, is still the single most dangerous thing in the world. And just an idea. And that's what Geeks and Gamers has weaponized at this point is an idea.
What they weaponize, and this is what dishonest people in general weaponize, but it's definitely what, again, not to get too political, but it's all related. The right and alt-right in general do. They weaponize benefit of the doubt. So, whereas if they weaponize the idea that a lot of people aren't going to look beyond the superficial. So when you see that list of that meme, and it's like anti-immigration, they're pro-border wall because Wakanda does have a dome. So like, these things kind of make sense if you're just glancing at it, and if you're not thinking about it longer than 3 seconds.
Right.
But that's what they monetize. That's what they weaponize is the difference between people who are willing to think about it a couple of seconds and those who just intuitively, emotionally react to it, like we were talking about a minute ago.
Ugh. So Doomcock's another one. And part of me doesn't understand a lot of it is if they hate Star Wars so much, like why is it all they ever talk about?
Well, I started calling them anti-fans because I think that's accurate. Like, and I did a video about it. Like you've got if you're a non-fan of something, you don't care about it. You don't engage with it. You know what I mean? Like, I've got a friend that's a non-fan of the MCU. I mean, they'll maybe go see the movie, but otherwise they don't care or think about it much. It's just they go see it for something to do. And then you got fans like us. We care about it. We engage with it. We want to follow it. We buy merch. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then so there has to be a corresponding definition for those types of people. And an anti-fan is the most fitting thing, I feel like, because they're not engaging with it out of love. They're not engaging with it out of a passion for the lore, because very often they don't know the lore. They talk about it.
Like Homeboy the other day with you.
Exactly. Yeah.
He just said it outright. He's like, what did you want me to say? Did you want me to just say I don't read comics? Yeah. I was like, oh, okay.
There it's so disingenuous. So it's like they really just want to be, and not to keep promoting my own content, but I did a video called
it's okay.
Ambassadors and Gatekeepers. And this is how I see it, is like, you can be a gatekeeper if you're a fan of this stuff, and you can say, well, you have to meet my arbitrary standards. You don't know this, or you haven't spent this amount of money or whatever, and you're not a real fan. Fuck you. That's a gatekeeper. Or you can be an ambassador, and you can be someone who is welcoming to new fans and casual fans and people who, even if they don't spend the money on it or the time that you do, you can still respect that person for the enjoyment they get out of it. And you can guide them to this or that because you have that wisdom to offer. Right. And that's how I see it.
That's great. That's a good way to look at something. Like not wanting chaos and just like that side of YouTube just reminds me of like the Joker, just wants to burn the world for burning the world's sake. And it sucks that we have to spend time like talking about it, but it's a real thing. And like, I always tell people, you're not a bad person if you watch Geeks and Gamers, but just know that there is a line in the sand, and you should really not cross that line, because it's really dangerous territory once you do. Because sometimes there's no coming back. To RJ's point earlier, does it say more about us as a society? I just said that really strange. Us as a society or them as a brand? And I would say it's us as a society. We allow them to thrive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they.
Sorry. Yeah, something just fell. Sorry.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing is they had a head start on YouTube. Yes. With Gamergate and that kind of was, and Matt Jarbo has taken issue with me saying this because he was kind of part of it. But me and Matt are cool. I like Matt a lot. But like, that Gamergate thing, not the same thing as what's happening now, but it was kind of the genesis in the way that it solidified some of these attitudes, as far as like, we're not being represented well. We got these new types of people that are co-opting the thing we like, and we don't like it, and those types of attitudes generally were more weaponized in this way. And to your point a minute ago about if you watch Geeks and Gamers, you're not a bad person, I do want to make sure that people know that I don't think everybody who like watches this stuff is a bad person or a fascist. I go after the people at the top. The way I see it is, you've got people who maybe just every once in a while watch a Geeks and Gamers video just for the hell of it.
Right.
And maybe they think some of that stuff's true. Maybe they don't, whatever. But then you've got people like Jeremy, people like Ethan Van Sciver of Comicsgate, Doomcock, the ones at the top who monetize it are the pieces of shit, in my opinion.
Yeah. Doomcock, have you ever seen some of Doomcock's super chats?
No.
It is unfucking real how much money that dude pulls in.
Oh yeah, Van Sciver too, man. It's
unreal.
And people will just pay $100 to hear them read something that is like anybody could have said. Like right. SJWs are bad, and like I paid $100 for you to say that. What the fuck,
dude? I mean, like, so Jarbo Jarbo really opened my eyes to this idiot, this clown, that whole circus, I should say. You got the one guy who's reading from a fucking crystal. You got the other guy, Cameron Pasha, who's so high on Adderall and fucking methamphetamines that he can't even see straight. Then you got Doomcock in his mask and his getup. It's just literally a clown circus. And they're all saying the same thing. Like the one guy that, and I hate to make fun of people, but when you do this to yourself, and like if they were talking about serious stuff, maybe it'd be different, but they're talking, first off, Doomcock, you're from the future. And like I could just, so many holes in your whole story. Like even your gimmick is stupid.
I
mean,
you'd think if he's from the future, he would stop getting things wrong all the fucking time. Right? Like just constantly making, the first time I ever covered him, as a matter of fact, was he made a video that was, and in hindsight, this turned out to be amazing because like he made a video saying that Alex Kurtzman, who runs CBS Star Trek, the TV shows, and they think that's being ruined. He's SJW, and because they've got like a black lead character and a bunch of women and that nonsense. But he said that there was a rumor going around that Kurtzman had seen one of Doomcock's videos and gotten so upset about it that he punched a hole in the TV in the CBS offices in front of everybody. And I was just like, dude, what? And it turns out that I don't know if you guys have heard of Ketwalski.
Yes, I have.
He had actually brilliant fucking move. He had actually done a long con on Doomcock where he had been planting stuff on 4chan to bait him. And then leading up to that specific thing where it was like a rumor he dropped in there just so that he could see if Doomcock would cover it. And he did.
And guess what you noticed too? He never talks about Star Trek lately.
Yeah,
I know. Is there did Doomcock ever basically, like, did he ever why can't I fucking find the words, address it that he pulled that from online from 4chan and was wrong, or did he just like move the goalpost again?
He moved the goalpost. I think I remember the last I saw of it was right after that. He tweeted something. Man, I wish I could remember it because he basically compared it to the Bible and saying that, like, well, some people say that the Bible is, I don't remember, man, but it was really, really far out there. Just
look at the Kathleen Kennedy thing. He's moved the goalpost apparently now. It's like, oh, it went after Mikey Sutton because Mikey said she's not leaving.
Yeah.
This guy's an SJW. It's like,
that's the video, and that's the video I'm referencing because that's the only time I've ever watched Doomcock was via Matt Jarbo.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the only time I could bring myself to do it. And like, if anyone wants to watch a funny stream, find that one on Matt Jarbo's channel because that was my honest.
Well, you have Cameron Pasha too, who's like. Who's talking like
everything
bringing on witches to talk about the tea leaves.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Kennedy's there. It's like
that's what I'm saying. This dude that was reading from the crystal, he was seeing. Now, mind you, I'm air quoting. He was seeing into Kathleen Kennedy's office, in that it was no longer her office; it was Kevin Feige's office now, or something like that. And I was just like, you can see into globes. But he chooses to spy in on Kathleen Kennedy's office.
Yeah,
like this, and I know that's stupid, but the whole Doomcock thing is just
it's so, not only is it disingenuous, it's just like insulting to the audience. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like you're buying this and you're sending me money for telling you this shit. Like, you fucking idiot. That's the underlying message essentially.
I'm with TW here. I really did think when you put the Temptations out, I was like, I gotta watch this to see.
No, I have to keep my cat from fucking with stuff when I'm streaming because he wants my attention. But yeah. As far as moving the goalposts, that's they have to. They constantly have to. One big one was, because I focus a lot on comics and Comicsgate. One thing that happened pretty recently was, because for the longest time, pretty much since the inception of Comicsgate, they've said that the comics industry is dying, it's failing, it's collapsing, the SJWs are killing it, right? And yet you can look at the sales, and pretty much, except for 1 year, the sales have risen every year since the beginning of Comicsgate. By any logical standard, that would mean Comicsgate should just shut it down and call it quits, because
Exactly.
they've been wrong. But of
Exactly.
course, they moved the goalpost. And so more in the last year or so, they started saying that, well, but manga is what's driving the sales. It's not manga is beating American comics, which isn't even true. For one thing, there's no reason to pit them against each other. But for another thing, it's not even accurate, of course. And
Right.
then, and as more recently, Ethan Van Sciver specifically basically went full Alex Jones with it. And he's saying that the government is funding Marvel and DC to push
Oh my god.
transgender
Yeah.
ideology.
Yeah,
Is that a real thing? Did someone really say that?
He is saying that the government's funding these. That's why the corporations are doing what they're doing. That's why Marvel and DC do what they're doing, because they don't care about the fans anymore, like fan sales. It's because they're getting money from the government. So that's why nothing's changing. I'm like,
so it's always, just moving the goalpost, like you said, it's an absolutely necessary tactic for these things to thrive. It's just you have to move the goalposts, or they would just have to give up and stop making money.
Yeah. And shit, I just had something that I wanted to say. I can't remember. But it's just crazy to me that people, like, after the 18th time that Doomcock was wrong, that the fans didn't look at it and be like, huh, wait a second, you're an idiot. Like, you dress up and you talk
well, even Jeremy's like, if you believe Doomcock's rumors, that's great. I don't,
Yeah,
they had
right.
That
was a great soundbite, by the way. Thank you, Jeremy, for that.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be, like, there are different levels of how brazen they are, and in that regard, Jeremy is a little bit more clever, at least, and self-aware than Doomcock, but like it's yeah. So there's definitely a level, like, I don't know if Doomcock is just literally insane or if he's just doesn't care that people know he's full of shit, or I don't know. But
would you care if people were super chatting you $2,000 at a time? It's like hard to like fathom it, but like at that point, I don't even know if I'm pretty sure he's pathological.
Yeah,
that was my theory that night, and it will be my theory till the end of time, is that he has gotten to a place, because liars will do this. Liars may start off lying and they understand that they're lying to like get themselves out of a corner, advance themselves, whatever it may be. But after a certain amount of time, lying is like any drug. It becomes addictive and you stop realizing it, that you've gone, that the switch has been flipped.
Especially when the lies are financially rewarded, right? Like
100%.
I mean, I went through a phase when I was a teenager when I would like kind of lie a lot to my parents and stuff for various reasons. And it would start to eventually just get like weighing on me in the sense that, like, oh man, I got to keep up with all these lies. I got to remember what I told them and stuff like that. And, like, I eventually just stopped fucking doing it. But like, I can imagine if somebody was like, here's $1,000 for every lie you tell, I'd be like, oh, well, maybe I can keep this going for a while. Like,
right. As long as I can get a house,
Yeah.
I started to do like this little profile about Doomcock and like what I know about people, like starting to figure out who or where he is. And it's ongoing. I'm working on it, but someone brings up a good point. Do you think that Doomcock is the Commandant? I do. Yeah, I do. The voice thing that I did, I know someone else has done it as well. But the pattern of the voices are eerily close.
I was kind of mistaken for a while because like somebody had pointed that out to me probably right after I made my video on Doomcock, like early last year. And I'd said something, not in the video, I didn't say it in there, but I said it on Twitter. I was like, yeah, well, everybody knows Doomcock is the Commandant, and he's a fucking literal Nazi. And then my friend who, and I'm not trying to disparage him, so I won't even say his name because he's a good dude, and I believe that he meant well and believed what he was telling me. He DM'd me to say, hey man, just to let you know, there's no evidence of that. I believe it might be true, but like, you don't want to say that until you're sure. And I'm like, oh, you're right. This guy's been a guide to me since I started YouTube. He's been big.
It's always good to have.
So I took, I took my tweet down, and for the while I just kind of was like, I'm not going to focus on that because I don't have evidence. But then more recently, I guess it was Jarbo and maybe you, RJ, that were like, no, it's, I don't want to put you on the spot if it wasn't you, but I was somewhere on a stream or something, and somebody was like, yeah, it's pretty clearly him. And I was like,
I think it
okay.
was Jarbo's stream. I think it was, but
Yeah,
I
we've
mean,
talked about it.
there's so much evidence that they're similar too. It's just,
I mean, someone did like a legitimate investigative video into it, and like the accounts are created around the same time. Like who?
I need to find that video and watch it on stream.
I'll send it to you because I have it bookmarked because it's so good. The accounts were created at like roughly the same time. What are the odds that the accounts were created at the same time and two people had these outlandish ideas to like dress up in these weird masks and do like the same style videos? Like the similarities are just too much. And he might have thought he covered his tracks well enough, but we don't need to know who you are under the mask to deduce that these two people are the same. And you don't want to be associated with a Nazi ever.
Yeah, I mean, even like the body shape and everything, it's just the same. It's like clearly, I would honestly, eat my own fist if it turned out that it was not the same, and somebody could prove that to me.
Right, and that's the shitty part is we'll probably never actually know.
Probably never know,
unless someone like finds Doomcock at his house and like there's the Commandant outfit in the back closet.
Or imagine if he like forgets to change he just puts the different mask on, the Doomcock mask, but he's still wearing the Commandant thing.
That would be the best case scenario.
I still will never forget though. I think like this year's kind of been bad for them in some aspects because like I remember earlier this year, man, the Geeks and Gamers Zack Snyder fiasco.
Yeah, I did.
Oh man, was that crazy?
A little bit.
Which came up when I talked to Lyndon.
Yes,
I can't believe he fell right in my trap with that too, man. Like,
yeah, he says that Zach, it was a big misunderstanding. So this is Geeks and Gamers' standpoint. For anyone who doesn't know or doesn't care, they say that it was a misunderstanding, that he wasn't directed at Geeks and Gamers. It was the studio making him do it.
That's wrong. That is flat out incorrect. That's because I've talked to people who basically said that Zach was pissed when that logo was on the website still. He said he had
Wouldn't you be?
He never wanted anything to do with them. Never. So
how did it happen?
That logo was still on there. He was pissed.
How did it happen?
I honestly don't know the full story completely. I would talk to Enosh about that. He probably knows a little bit more. But
no, well, like what? How did they even remotely get in this? Maybe they were in the same
because
Uche
Uche was a football player, and he had a connection to Zach, and they got in touch because he was trying to do awareness for AFSP. Right, that was the whole motivation.
A good thing.
Yeah, obviously.
Right, yeah. So like basically, what I want to know is like they might not have been in bed together, but how did they end up in the same barrack?
Because basically they went behind Snyder's back because Jeremy and I think other people who are on the stream were not supposed to be there. If you notice, they left before Zach was getting ready to come on. Right? That's why he had to open it the way he did. But yeah, he was pissed. He was pissed that happened. Okay. I think that's why he really isn't he's much more careful about who he goes with on YouTube as well too lately. He was not happy about that. And remember, Jeremy flipped out. He flipped out when he made that comment, right? And then you had EVS talking about because that was right after that March attack too. And then EVS
which comment again?
It was about the rise in Asian hate as a result of COVID.
Oh,
the barbershop thing, right?
Yep.
Or I remember what it was. I think it was a barbershop or some
massage parlors.
Massage parlor. Thank you. So Zach came out. It's like, oh, he's just responding to that. Well, no,
thank you, H. Bart, becoming a new member.
Hey, look at that.
And I appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. But yeah, it was bad, and he got on that stream, and he had a crying fit meltdown, saying my name, my business has been slandered, and Zack Snyder is basically pissed on our name and all this and that. As he was crying and whining, and he was having a shouting argument with Uche and all the people, and everyone was flipping out, making hundreds of dollars that he supposedly gave to the charity. Right, we don't know that.
Yeah, hey, you know what? They do give to charities, honestly, and that's a frustrating thing because, like, when I covered Richard Meyer, I don't know who's aware who that is. He used to be called Diversity in Comics. He's basically the start of Gamergate, or at least the first big figurehead of it. I mean, not Gamergate,
okay.
Comicsgate, not Gamergate, Comicsgate. And he's, one of the first comics people to kind of popularize that type of sentiment and make a lot of money off of it. He actually had a spot on that Comedy Central show. Jim Jeffries did an interview with him.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and I covered him a while back because he had launched his 5th Indiegogo comic project while he still had 4 that were way overdue and incomplete. And I just, once he announced that 5th one, I was like, man, how much more obvious can it get that this is a scam? You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot of projects that, I mean, yeah, projects go late a lot, but not 5
of them.
Yeah, right. 4, and then you're announcing a 5th one. Yes. And even his fans started turning on him with that a little bit. And so I covered that. And I said a lot of stuff about him and the things that he said, how much of a liar he is, how disingenuous he is. And then I happened to mention in like a 10-second part that he had allegedly donated money to a trans charity. But I didn't know if there was any evidence that he'd actually donated the money. And as soon as my video finished premiering, he sent me an email with a receipt of that he'd actually sent money to this trans charity. And it's like, they do this in their minds, I think,
to make them look better. Like, let's not get it twisted. That's a new saying of mine, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's not get it twisted here. Most people donate to charity to make themselves feel tingly inside.
Sure.
Right? A lot of people do. And it's mostly the people that are shitty that donate to charity and then say, I'm not shitty. Look at this.
Well, to be fair, a lot of people donate to charity all the time and you don't hear about it because they're actually donating for good reason.
Right cause.
Yeah.
If you never hear about a donation, that's for the right cause. If you tote your donation, I don't know. That's my opinion.
I feel, remember I said a minute ago, they weaponize and monetize, benefit of the doubt, basically. Right. So like, if there's no, it's easy to put on these optics and say, well, I donated to this trans charity. I'm not transphobic. Even though he's making content that, essentially demonizes queer people all the time.
Right.
So yeah, it's really frustrating, man. And I that's really kind of my goal, I guess, is to, like, I don't think I'm going to fucking save fandoms on my own, but I like to think that I can start to open a few minds here and there to like recognize these tactics.
Well, I'll join you.
Do it, man. Let's do it.
I'd love to do it.
That's one thing that I'm really wanting to do is like, look at this network these people have. You know what I mean? Right. Even if they're not like directly connected to each other, they're all working toward the same goal, essentially, which is to, become the gatekeepers of fandom and cynically, monetize outrage over it. And I think there's got to be a counter to that. And we can't just do this isolated from each other and just, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of, there's need to just be a nerd and enjoy your fandom without worrying about these people.
Exactly.
There's definitely a need for that. But I think that we, if a fan who really loves the things that they're a fan of has a little bit of a responsibility to spend some amount of time and effort against this stuff.
Right. And to put that into action, I would really be interested to hear, what did you guys think? I mean, so if you haven't heard about it, then you're probably under a rock somewhere. But a new Spider-Man trailer dropped.
There's a new Spider-Man movie coming out?
Dude,
what is Spider-Man, you say?
Why is he a man?
Man spider, or what?
Yes, very much so. He shoots. You ever seen those? It's like movies, but described terribly. And it's like man who walks on walls, shoots white stuff from like it's
oh my god,
it's one of the best ones. But so new Spider-Man No Home trailer dropped. Probably the last trailer, like the last full trailer before the movie releases. And it did show off a lot of cool stuff, but did not show something that people are really hoping, and that's Tobey and Andrew Maguire. Andrew Maguire.
Tobey Garfield and Andrew Maguire, everybody.
Yes. Yeah. So words, they're great. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield we're very absent from the trailer, and I'm one of the last holdouts, as RJ would say. But what did you guys think of the trailer overall? Did it live up to your expectations?
I feel like I don't often have the same level of expectations that a lot of people seem to online. I just want the movie to give me just enough to give me an idea of what we're in for. I don't expect it to confirm every rumor, but some people apparently did expect that. But I thought it was great. I think it's the most excited I've got from any of these 3 Spider-Man movies.
For sure.
And I also think that it in the Brazilian version of the ad, it did actually confirm some stuff.
So you're talking about like this area?
Yup.
Where Lizard's head smashes the other way.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have
Have
to.
you guys seen the memes of that, by the way, where they play like the clip from Incredibles where it's the teacher? It's like he puts the TV, says he moves right there.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not gonna go out and say that that's not true because we've seen this trickery from Marvel before, where they edit something out to keep you guessing. And honestly, this is the whole point that I've been making this whole time. And it's not that I don't want them in the movie; it's that I don't want to get my expectations to a point where the movie will never.
That I completely understand.
Yeah,
right?
the movie will this. I call it the WandaVision effect. It's when we just psych ourselves out.
It's really funny you mentioned that, Chad, because I was going to bring up. Did you guys see that Grace Randolph put out a series of tweets? Actually, she said,
she blocked me.
I try not to pay attention to Grace. I should cover her at some point, but yeah.
Oh, I'd love to.
Okay, hold up. Dane, what do you think of Grace Randolph? I've never heard you talk about it.
Hold on, Caden. My mouse is dying. Usually I would have done this by now, but
yeah, I think she's
should have dropped on that one.
You know, in a lot of ways, she's just a less. I mean, I don't.
But it was weird.
Finally, 20 minutes late, but we got it.
I haven't watched enough of her stuff to really say if she's like hateful, but she definitely is in the similar vein of like outrage, rumor, monetizing rumor, and I think she's cynical and disingenuous about it.
She is.
Okay. I don't hate her, to be honest. I watch her videos. She's not too bad. Sometimes she's very bad. Sometimes she's okay.
As far as source material, she does know what she's definitely read comics. Like she's maybe not the smartest person in the world. Her voice may be absolutely bone tingling, but so is mine. It is what it is. It's what she does with her platform that bothers me. And she throws shit at the wall, and eventually some of it sticks, and then she's made a career off of it. She's that type of person.
Yeah.
And let's not let's not get it twisted. She's a blonde, some semi-attractive woman, and a lot of people gravitated towards her, where it's like, oh, I want to watch her talk about comics. And she's built this enormous platform off of it. Good for her. But it's what she's done with it that I don't agree with.
Yeah. I mean, that's, like I said, I'm not really educated enough about her to fully, give you like a declarative opinion. But yeah, what I've gleaned from the bit I've seen, that I would agree with that. Like, it was one thing in particular that I remember she was being really shitty about. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but I just remember that she refused to even acknowledge that she was clearly wrong about something.
Well, there's been a couple of cases. There was the Birds of Prey one, where even the director was like, that's not true. And she's like, no. Then there was the Mandalorian season 2 thing where she kept talking about Pedro Pascal had issues with Disney and Lucasfilm, and he was leaving the show, and it wasn't really going to be about the Mandalorian and all this and that. There's been a lot of crazy stuff that's been going on with Grace, to be fair. So, but no, the reason I brought her up was because
thank you, H-Barts, by the way.
Yeah. Zendaya's MJ, aka Matt Jarbo, plot twist.
I don't get it.
You don't get it?
I don't get it.
Because MJ, Matt Jarbo, MJ.
Oh!
Dun, dun, dun.
I get it now. Sorry, H-Barts. I love you, man.
But no, the reason I brought it up is because Grace basically, let me pull it up real quick. Hold up. She said, had a long chat with source regarding No Way Home, who's seen the movie but not the end credit scenes. Dial down your expectations. Think WandaVision is, and things don't go crazy, but it is a great, solid story. It's just 5 villains. The ending is very surprising and Tom Holland-centric. I liked it a lot. Toby and Andrew are in the movie. It's still a multiverse story.
Whoa.
But
what is this? What are you reading?
It was her tweets. She put out tweets basically saying, "Oh, it's like WandaVision, guys. Dial down your expectations."
She watched Spider-Man already?
No, she talked to someone who did, apparently. Which, who knows if this is even true, though.
Look,
Oh, okay. You had me confused there.
Yeah. Don't worry,
Sorry
don't
about
worry.
that.
No, you're fine.
here's here, and this is something I should have mentioned a little while ago when you're asking, and I was talking about the algorithm and clickbait content. The reason that I know I actually have firsthand experience with this stuff is in 2011 or so, I was all in on following production on the Avengers movie, the first one. Like, I couldn't believe it was being made. That we had gotten to that point. Like, and I'd never been so hyped for something. And I was like every day looking up gossip and rumors and stuff. And I started writing, blog articles on comicbookmovie.com. And they started getting picked up. And one thing I wrote even got quoted in The Guardian in the UK. And that was when I realized, oh, I actually maybe could write about this stuff and talk about it. And I ended up meeting up with this dude who had just launched a nerd fan site kind of thing. And, he offered for me to be the managing editor. And I started writing stuff based on, I've got a background in journalism, by the way. Like, that's what my education focused on. So it's, I know how to write an article. I know how to structure it in a way that, you know what I mean? But I'm also like very fact oriented. And I try not to say things that I don't have something to back up. If I do, I'll address that. But yeah, so it got to the point where he was like, "Hey man, just say that this is going to happen in the movie. That'll get a bunch of clicks." And I'm like, "Dude, where are you getting that from?" He's like, "Oh, I got a source." You know what I mean? Like, can I talk to them? Where are you getting that?
The mysterious source that everybody has.
And the source is most likely Reddit or 4chan. Let's be honest.
Hashtag Doomcock.
Hashtag dude. Thank you. So yeah, that's just I always keep that in mind.
Chat, but that's exactly what she's doing. She's reiterating what everybody else is basically saying about the movie. The problem is that she said, dial down your expectations. This is like WandaVision. And she's like, I'm not... I can't tell if she's purposely doing this or if she's trying to like make people... I don't know what she's trying to do. But when you say it's like WandaVision, what does everybody think? Ralph Boner, right?
Right.
So she's trying to get everyone freaking out, saying, "Oh my god, it's gonna be like it's not really gonna be what we want it to be. It's gonna be a disaster." And it's like, "Oh, the movie's gonna be disappointing."
You know what she wants?
She also says they're in the movie, though, right?
Yeah, but like she's saying that what was it that there's not too many other surprises. Like basically,
so she's
the
just
biggest
hedging
surprise
her bets.
You get.
She's hedging her bets.
What is she doing? Like I had already said, she's throwing shit at the wall to see if someone will stick. She saw that John Campea had trended recently. She wants to trend. She wants to feel warm and tingly on the inside and have people tweeting about her or what she said. Mm-hmm. And no offense, RJ, but you're helping her.
I mean, I'm not trying to help her, but
yeah.
I mean...
No, I'm just messing with you. But I know. But look, here we are talking about her.
Well, and it's like the way she phrased that is in the way that like, so let's flash forward to December 18th. And people have seen the movie. Well, I guess probably be a few days before that when the stuff will start coming out, probably.
Yes.
But like, let's
I think it comes out in the UK on the 15th.
15th, yes.
And people have seen the movie. It's being talked about. We know what's in it, or if you're looking for it before you see the movie, you'll know what's in it. And no matter whatever happens in the movie, she's right. Because
that's what's funny too. Because earlier this year, she's like, "Oh, Tobey Maguire didn't want to sign on. He needed to negotiate for more. He wanted to negotiate for all the money, so he didn't sign on right away. So he's not in the movie very much." And now she's saying, "Oh, they're in the movie the entire time. Everybody, don't worry." It's like, well, just a month ago, like just on your last stream, you said
she loves.
Very much.
Loves to contradict herself.
So I don't have any evidence
going on anymore. It's like she says like so many different things. It's like I can't keep track.
Yeah,
because again, it's covering her bases. So she's like, I'm not technically wrong. I just updated you, so it's fine, right?
Yeah, that's the one thing about these people is like if you compare their more recent content to their older content about the similar thing, it's gonna be a wild trip. Like I guess a good way that I could look at it now that I think about it is like I want my content to hold up as much as it possibly can. Whereas like what I said a year ago is more or less, in line with how things turned out or what's, so yeah, I just don't like to speculate like that. But some people apparently just are cool with it. Like they it's a cynical thing. I have too much love for fandom in general in this media that I don't know. I would feel like I was betraying something if I monetized it in this way. I could definitely do it. I know how it's done.
Easy, very easy to do when you know what you're doing, right? So, I mean, overall, do you guys think that this movie? Because I have a feeling, and I think most people do. I have a feeling that this movie is going to most likely break every record that the pandemic has, and way more than that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
regular movie records.
100%. So I think this it might be a stretch. It may be the first $1 billion grosser post-pandemic.
Post-pandemic, yeah.
It really depends on where we are a month from now, but I'm anticipating this thing opening close to 200 million opening weekend. Because I know there's some early box office tracking saying anywhere from a 135 to $200 million opening, and then a domestic gross of 400 to 500 million, which I think that might be a little too low. I think it's this thing like it's 600 to 700 domestic.
Yeah, I could easily see it.
You think about the first two of these hit $1 billion, and it's not Avengers. Well, just Spider-Man.
Second one,
you know what I mean?
The first one made 800. The second one made
really?
$1 billion.
I could have sworn Homecoming.
Yeah, Homecoming only made 800. So
fair. All right. Well, yeah,
that was.
Yeah, globally only made about 800, 845, something like that.
Caden, check into that, just so I know the real number. I trust RJ. I just want to know.
So yeah, when you factor in the context of the probable the likelihood of the other guys being in this movie, you know what I mean? Just the villains they're already confirmed is going to be
the villains alone are a big selling point. Even take out the other Spider-Man, I think the villains alone, just the way that the movie's been marketed thus far. Controversy with saying, I know some people are like the marketing campaign sucks. I'm like, I think the leak culture and the rumor cultures kept this movie in the conversation pretty much every single day. So it's like we're just waiting now, right? But 880. Wow.
I've seen people saying that
fucking close.
Yeah. People say things like, "Oh, Sony's done a bad job of keeping these rumors under control." It's like, no, they haven't. They've done exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted exactly what's come out to come out.
And that's what I said that the other night when the trailer did come out. I was like, they just put doubt into all these people's minds. Like they did exactly what they knew that they were going to do, and that's get you into the theater. They were never going to show these people if they are in the movie.
Nor should they. They shouldn't show them anyway. I changed my position on this because initially I said that they should have a tease or show them a little bit.
Oh no, not at all.
Because initially what I thought was they should show them because that could push this movie to be even a higher grosser. But then I thought about it, and I think I'm agreeing with Matt and everybody else in this. It's like you keep it a secret for as long as humanly possible. For one, that theater moment. Right, because people are going to record the reactions in the theater, and that's going to blow up too.
You want that end game moment?
Yes,
exactly.
People don't remember how they felt before they saw a movie. I guess some people do, but this is going to be hard to explain. People don't when I found out about Toby and Andrew in the movie 2 months before, I was so excited. They don't remember that for the rest of their life. They remember fucking Captain America catching Mjolnir and the theater erupting and that blissful moment of just
Falcon saying on your left.
Oh, those are the moments.
Fucking chills through your body. You know what I mean? And the funny thing is we all knew that was gonna happen. You don't need to see it in the trailer. You leave Infinity War thinking, oh my God, I can't believe they did this. But in the back of your mind, you're like, well, they're going to bring them back, obviously. You know what I mean? But until you see it happen, that's a whole different thing. And that's definitely what Sony's trying to achieve with this, because they'd be fools not to. Mm-hmm. And that's the only way that you could top that moment is if you're Sony, because Sony doesn't, they're specifically Spider-Man stuff. So they have to work with what they have. And so, when you're Sony and you've presumably Kevin Feige's working with them and giving them good creative directions and stuff. So what can they do? Well, we can still use Tobey Maguire. The Into the Spider-Verse was a big hit. Basically all the elements add up that it would just be a stupid move at this point not to have them in there.
And what's good? Sony has the merchandise, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, Disney does.
No, yeah,
Disney
that's
does.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, they renegotiated with Sony and they bought back the merchandising rights to Spider-Man. That's why Disney gets to make cartoons and toys.
Okay, so What's better than selling one Spider-Man toy?
All the Spider-Man
selling
toys.
every Spider-Man toy in the world, including
Dude, those
bringing
Legends
back some
figures
old
and
ones.
those Hot Toys are gonna be
Right.
amazing.
So I'm regardless if it happens in No Way Home, it will happen eventually. That's the way we're going. Look at the popularity of the Spider-Verse movie. Like, it would be stupid for them not to do it eventually in some form or fashion, even if it's just a cameo. Like, it's going to happen. So even if it doesn't in No Way Home, I've been saying that it's not even a bad tactic to introduce the multiverse in this movie, bring the villains in, don't solve the issue by the end of it.
Here's something cool too about the movie that I don't feel like enough people are talking about too. Like, just the story in general, like, because I know people are like, oh, I really like Tom Holland's version. He's kind of like, oh, happy-go-lucky kid, yada, yada, yada. Like, his story's not interesting. Like, he's going through an emotional ringer in this movie. He's going to be going through, this storyline I think is going to be really fascinating to watch. Because Tom Holland's been talking about how it's the darkest of the three movies. He's really going to go through a lot of emotional pain. There's a lot of stuff going on. Like, I think it's going to be a really compelling story. I think it's more important for this one, right?
As a matter of fact, I have a smaller channel, by the way. It's called Crack-a-Boom Movies and Comics.
I like that.
It used to be, it was originally called Anomic Comics. I changed it recently, but like, there's a show that we're on this. We just recorded the second episode, and we're doing this for every big like movie release or like Hawkeye. We're going to do it for that too. Where, we basically look at what we can see from the trailer and the story and what we know about the upcoming thing, and then we pick 3 different comic book arcs or runs that relate to that, and 3 of us with 3 different levels of a comic experience. We each read one, and then we come together and record like a chat about all of them, and we kind of suss out what do we think is going to be. So like we did Eternals first, where my friend Taylor covered the original Jack Kirby run. My friend Willow covered the Neil Gaiman run, and I covered the ongoing current Kieran Gillen run. And we just kind of compared and contrasted, like what's this one got compared to this, and so on. And it's a really fucking fun format, and it's like a good way to learn a lot about this stuff at once.
And Lightcast took my idea about something like that. I had an idea that I ran by Matt from Lightcast called Comics and Coffee, and then it became a Lightcast show. So not even a couple weeks later.
But to RJ's point, we just recorded the Spider-Man one the other day, and I covered Spider-Man Back in Black, which is an arc that came right before the infamous Spider-Man One More Day.
That was part of the JMS run. Yeah. That was right after Civil War, wasn't it?
Yes. So I covered Back in Black. Blurred Without Fear covered One More Day. He was a hero for covering that thing for us.
Blurred covered One More Day. Oh, God bless that soul, dude. Holy
and then my friend Questing Refuge Willow covered the Spider-Verse event comic, and because all 3 of those kind of seem like they relate to what's happening in No Way Home, right? Because so Back in Black is just one of my favorite Spider-Man arcs. It's so fucking cool. Like, it's basically Spider-Man off the chain.
He's pissed.
He's not friendly. Yeah. And what happens is because everybody knows his identity at that point, he unmasked himself in Civil War, which turned out to be a mistake. And a Kingpin hires an assassin to kill him and ends up hitting Aunt May instead. She's in a coma. She's gonna die essentially, and Peter just loses, like, he goes and grabs his old black costume, not the symbiote, but like just a black costume, and he breaks into prison to kick the shit out of Kingpin, and it's magnificent. And I kind of feel like they're kind of drawing a little bit from that, at least I hope. But
hey, it's William.
Hey, William.
Hello, William from the Sci-Fi Center. It looks like you're at the Sci-Fi Center.
Yeah.
So you're literally Will.
Look, he has the T-shirts behind him too. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the show, my friend. Nice. I'm sure you have something to say. That's why you want to come on.
Oh, I didn't even know you were on. I saw it. I clicked on the thing and you were there, and then I just figured I'd start coming in. What are you guys talking about? Is it mainly Spider-Man or?
Well, we started off with talking about hate channels and that stuff, and then we got into Spider-Man because Spider-Man. It's like the thing everyone's talking about, and that's what we are right now. Dane was just talking to us about what was it?
Back in Black.
Back in Black, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that story. Yeah. Out of all the stuff that's being released during the pandemic, it has the strongest brand name just on its own, period. even without Disney, without anybody. There is
Someone's breaking up.
no bigger brand name than anything that's been released since A Quiet Place in the last 2 years.
Well, the thing, you know what the
I mean,
thing is, I thought Ghostbusters was going to do well, and
Is it not doing well?
it's not.
It's not doing
well.
great. They didn't make it for a lot though. It was a cheap movie to make. So
Yeah,
comparatively.
like critics have it at 63%, and like a lot of the people like Jeremy, right, that bash all women movies and stuff. Now, like those are the people that I thought were really going to push for this, right? Like go back to this style, not like get rid of that female reboot. But what are they going to say now? Because like everyone was like, oh, that female reboot was terrible, but it's not even going to come close to the opening weekend that the female one had.
Really? It's that low?
It's going to be. Yeah.
You got to realize.
I thought at least it opened like 40 to 50 million.
I think that probably the 2016 one probably kind of poisoned the well a little bit, right? Like
For
people
the brand.
Yeah, people are leery
I
about.
don't think the 2016 one touched it. I think it's no longer relevant. It's just not relevant anymore. If you look at it, it's relevant.
And this one, by the way, this one does some fan service like you've never seen before.
Okay, but once again, it's that hopscotch of nostalgia. So it's like throwing darts in the dark.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It has all that, and still not a lot of people.
For a fan base, that hasn't been relevant since the Ghostbusters 2 was released 32 years ago. Okay, jeez. That's your relevancy. That's what you're reaching back to. If you're going to hit the nostalgia button, it has to be relevant to the point. It has to have assured some relevance to the day. And that's what some of these movies that reach back into the time machine don't understand. It's relevant to you, but is it relevant to the general public anymore? They may know what Ghostbusters is, but do they care? I don't think 2016 had anything to do with it. I just think less people care about Ghostbusters than the people who came up with this concept thought they did.
Well, yeah, because I think it's. Sorry, 1 second.
Go ahead.
So I believe the female-led one was 65 million on the opening weekend, and the Ghostbusters Afterlife is eyeing 45. So I mean, there's a drastic difference there, because 25 mil is a lot of money, and I mean they're 45 is too, but I mean, like I said,
I'm sure it has to do with the.
Yeah, I think there's like a little bit of a trust thing with and then you got to there's a balance with like Sony kind of burned some of their trust with the public with the 2016 one. I mean, you say it's not relevant. I don't know that it's directly relevant, but in the sense that
I would say I think it hurt. I would say it hurt. I'd say it hurt a little bit some of that general audience thing because they already gave another new Ghostbusters movie a chance. People didn't like it.
You combine that with the pandemic, and it's like people. You got to people weigh that in their minds. Like, after that last one, do I really want to go out and see it? During, what I mean? That's how I see it. Anyway.
But by the time the 2016 one, it was irrelevant. It didn't matter. That 2016 one wasn't gonna. What trust did you have? You have to have relevance to have trust. And by that,
do you think maybe it was also hurt by the delays too? Like it just took too long to come out.
Brand name is 90% of this at this point, and it's a brand name that's not relevant to as much as the general audience as a lot of people think it is.
How do you think Resident Evil is going to do next week then? I think Resident Evil is going to do next week.
I think it's going to do okay. It all depends on what you consider to be okay. How much do they spend on it too?
I think it was made for dirt cheap, so I don't know.
Yeah, so it really doesn't. You can skew it either way. $75 million that they spent on this movie isn't a lot of money. It's relatively cheap, if you think about it. It's not Blumhouse cheap, but it's once again you have a brand name that is just not.
Yeah, that is a good point, though. It could have a really good hold next week.
So actually, Ghostbusters in 2016 did have $45 million opening.
It did.
Yeah, someone was
also had stars that people knew.
Someone was saying, I definitely thought.
Oh, you know what it might have been, Ty? I think it released on a holiday weekend. Ghostbusters 2016. I think it opened the July 4th holiday, so that 75 number might be the whole holiday taken into account.
So they could make it up with Thanksgiving if people were going out.
Well, that's it. But this is a good thing for this year's Ghostbusters as well. Someone actually just said it. Do you think Ghostbusters will have a second weekend bump with next week next week being Thanksgiving?
I think they'll have a good hold.
I think so.
I wanted to ask real quick though. Do you guys think on the 29th the ticket sites are going to crash because of No Way Home?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
they do at Endgame?
Yes.
Probably,
Luckily, I'm a Stubbs A-list member, and they get like you get like an hour extra.
I think they're
minutes.
gonna release another trailer that day, right?
I don't.
It's
maybe a
been
TV spot.
rumored. There's some rumors they might drop something on what they're calling Spider Monday. I don't know if it's going to be another trailer though. I could see it being a TV spot or some kind
TV
of
spot
featurette or
easily,
something.
Yeah, they'll
and I
drop
guarantee that'll have one extra clip.
Something that we
barely.
haven't seen yet.
Yeah, it's always that way. But they're not going to give away their marbles. That's for sure.
I don't know, man. Is it even a secret at this point?
Yes,
I mean
it is.
come on.
For sure is. Definitely a secret. I have doubt in my mind. We've been talking about. I mean, I'll tell you, like, yes, that is pretty sus, right? Because there did seem to be a lot of scaffolding in No Way Home.
Yeah, and what, lizard ghost punching. Yeah, so yeah, that was nice. But yeah, Resident Evil. I think Resident Evil's gonna.
That's something that we could talk about. Is right there. What are you guys thinking about the new look?
He looks so much better. It's not even funny.
Oh, they
Almost
definitely. Yeah, it seems like honestly the all around with the villains, they're trying to correct some mistakes in the meta sense. So like at least based on what it shows in the trailer, of course it could be deceptive, but like how it seems like part of the plot is that this Peter Parker wants to make sure these guys don't die the way that they did in their original universes, right? Like Strange is like they have to die, that's just what happens, and Peter's like no. So that actually is kind of answering a meta complaint about those original movies, is how, back then superhero movies would always kill the fucking villain
because they didn't.
You know what
they
I
weren't
mean?
thinking about a universe, just do the story. They're one and done, right? So
yeah.
And Doctor Strange is right though. What he's saying is consistent with. So they're going to have to resolve. It's going to be interesting.
Of course, it's right. Yeah, of course.
But if Parker doesn't want these, if Parker doesn't want these villains to die, then
I think that's going to be the interesting dichotomy with his character though, because he's like, oh my god, a version of me in the universe is a killer. He kills these people. He doesn't know. We as the audience know he didn't really, like, for example, in the first movie,
cold-blooded kill these people.
Peter Parker didn't necessarily kill Green Goblin. It was an accident, right? He just dodged out the way. Goblin or Doc Ock sacrificed himself, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So he's
Sandman kind of just withers away.
Yeah, he hasn't died though. That's gonna be interesting. I want to see how they explain how Lizard and Sandman died, if that's in reference to them too, because they never died in those movies. So is it only talking about the certain villains at the time, or what's going on with that? I don't know, but yeah, it should be interesting for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm anxious to see how it all plays out anyway, and that's one reason I typically don't speculate too much on the plot itself, just because they can be really tricky with how they frame this stuff in the trailers. They use what I like to call Franken scenes and Franken lines.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Look at Infinity War. They had like a full-blown conversation between Iron Man and Gamora. It's like that never happened in the movie. They just edited it that way. Like, I know everyone's complaining about the Doc Ock joke. I don't even think Peter Parker's talking to Doc Ock in that scene. I think it's selective editing.
Well, there's like my friend was like, hey, it looks like Spider-Man and Doctor Strange fight on that train. And I'm like, I don't know. Does it though? Because Spider-Man's wearing a mask. They can add whatever line they want right there. And then when it shows the close-up of Doctor Strange responding, it looks like it's not even in the same setting.
Well, I do think they're going to be at odds though.
Yeah, definitely at odds.
I think that scene may be like how the ancient one was showing Steven the dimensions and all that stuff, and how the sorcerer's powers work. I think that's what it's going to be, with a mixture of him teaching a lesson like, hey, you can't be messing with my stuff because of this, and like after the fact that he did the spell and everything. So it's like, this is why. Like, if you look at everything, what's going on, this is why.
I still love the shot.
We also see that scene when he. Do we have it here? This, when he's trying to take the box away, and then Strange is like, no, you can't take that box. That box is gonna put everyone back home. But then we obviously have Peter, who's like who just learned that the fate of these characters or villains are they have to die, and with Sandman and Lizard, we can speculate that they may die later down on the line if their interactions will be with Andrew and Toby,
or they're not they're not the same Lizard and Sandman that we know.
Yeah, that's
knows?
always
Yeah.
possible because like why does Electro have different Electro powers kind of thing? You know what I
he's
mean?
not blue skinned and
He
all
didn't
that.
just change comic origins throughout
Right.
the second,
I think
whatever.
this kind of explains why he changes colors, because if you think about electricity varies in color when they have in certain levels of power
Oh,
that
so
they
you
have.
think they're gonna
Yeah,
show him
but
changing?
It's like
that
blue
Max
is the
Dillon that
weakest.
we met in this
The
one that
blue
we
is the
see,
weakest, and
come
then yellow
on.
is the strongest. So there may be like, okay,
He gets a power up.
So the
Yeah.
geeky Electro we met in Amazing Spider-Man 2 just strapped on some Tims, got a nice fucking fade, and changed how he talks. I'm gonna say that's a stretch.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, he doesn't look like the same incel Electro for sure.
Oh God, yeah.
But I also think that Doc Ock's working with Peter Parker eventually.
Yeah, I think there's a shot toward the end of the trailer where Electro blasts a building and Doc Ock is kind of hit and falls off. It's like either it's like an accidental villain on villain crime kind of thing, or Dr. Octopus at that point in the movie is working with Spider-Man.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, do you guys think that there's something up with Doctor Strange, or you think he's in character?
Yes.
I think he's very.
I think the real Doctor Strange is in the movie, but I don't think that the Doctor Strange who cast that spell is. It's a
little weird. It's a little weird that he would just be like, "Yeah, let's do this," and sure, kid.
Unless it's just really bad editing choices and trailer choices where they're not showing us what's really going on with them to where it actually is our Doctor Strange. It's just very weird editing and like.
Well, the real Doctor Strange would know the consequences of doing that. So I think the one that casts a spell is someone else, and the one that tries to help him fix it is
also it's a little weird that our Doctor Strange, who went up against Dormammu and bested him, messes up with Peter talking.
I mean, maybe that's an editing thing too, though. Maybe that.
Yeah, I know. There could be a lot of explanations for it.
I think that's a difference because if you think about it, he was just reversing time, and with the time stone is more powerful than any spell. And then with a spell, and then you have actual words and seance that needs to be said during the spell, or thoughts that need to be thought out during the spell. And then you have some dude talking when you're doing the spell in the center of the spell. That is like what ruins it.
Yeah, but like at the same time, and I'm not taking a side on either one because, like I said, I'm not gonna commit to whether it's him or not until I see the movie, I guess. But like, because there could be big piece of context, dialogue or scene missing that explains why Doctor Strange is so willing, and we just don't know what it is.
Right.
But like, at the same time, like, Doctor Strange knows Peter. He knows he's a fucking little nervous jabberjaw when he's around other heroes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So like, you would think he would, if for some reason he did decide to help him in that way, that he would be like, look, kid, you have to be quiet before we do, like, don't talk. Like, he would really, put it in on him and let him know that you can't mess around with this. So there might be something wonky going on. I don't know.
Aspitz Vin Sanin, I hope I said that right, asks RJ to show his t-shirt that you wear with full screen and standing.
Yeah, a Pitts Benson in really like seeing my t-shirts every stream I'm on for some reason. I don't know.
And what is that? What is MYR? Is that Moroccan? No,
it's Malaysian.
Malaysian?
Yeah.
It's Malaysian.
It's $1.50.
Thank you. I appreciate all of it. All the dollars and 50 cents in the world.
Yeah, a Pitts Benson it really like seeing my t-shirts. Like I said, every
you have
stream
good t-shirts. So. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
So yeah, I guess so.
But all right, so we got a couple more minutes. I do have some stuff that I need to get to tonight. But I have a special surprise for you guys after the show. And we'll get to that eventually. But final thoughts. I mean, I would like to talk a little bit about Hawkeye. Is you guys looking forward to it at all? Like, is this
absolutely, dude.
Is it hard to get excited for Hawkeye when Spider-Man's just ringing about?
No, because I was always looking forward to Hawkeye. Plus, I like the street level stuff. I like the smaller scale storylines in the Marvel Universe too. I think it looks like a lot of fun. I really like the My Life as well. I love the Matt Fraction comic, so I'm really excited to see that. Yeah, I'm really excited to see that. Even if it's not exactly 1-to-1, it's pretty much almost taking inspiration from that pretty directly. So it'd be cool to see that in live action. So I'm looking forward to it for sure.
For sure. Yeah. And do you think Kingpin will be in it? Like everyone's speculating?
It's been rumored. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to get my hopes up because I'm gonna be disappointed.
Yeah.
But I hope he is. That'd be cool.
I don't know if I'm missing why people are saying that. I haven't seen any reason to think that.
The gang that they're taking on.
What?
The,
But
the red,
Well,
right?
Well,
I
it's
can't
been a
remember
rumor.
their
It's been a
name.
rumor because of like I don't remember exactly
Called.
where it started coming from, but Echo's in the
Echo
show.
and also the hotel that they are from set photos and also the hotel that they go to is owned by Kingpin.
okay.
And
What's the
Netflix-
gang though?
The gang that you're talking about is Tracksuit Mafia.
Tracksuit.
Yeah.
There you go. There it is.
The Russian tracksuit dudes. Yeah.
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 Bro.
Bro,
Bro,
Tracksuit
yes,
Bro.
thank you. Yay, that's them.
Trust a bro.
Yeah,
And they're run by the clown, aka Kazi, who's played by Frafi. And it seems like Echo is in that midst. So they're like in the comics, Echo is like Kingpin's adopted daughter. After Kingpin murdered her father.
So I just don't think that this will be the series.
And also
like,
in the Fraction run, Kingpin does put a hit on Clint Barton.
Yes. I also I don't know if like this is the way I'd want to introduce that whole idea of the Netflix characters being here is in a Hawkeye show with just the villain, Kingpin. I feel like that would
Well,
I mean,
would
you
it
have Kingpin
underwhelm?
and Hawkeye, and then you have Charlie. Well, then you have Matt Murdock and No One Home, and they have Matt Murdock and Echo and She-Hulk. And then you have, and then supposedly you also have, Bullseye possibly showing up in one of these shows as well. It's like they're trying to. Kevin Feige's trying to take what everyone loved from the Netflix stuff and integrate into the MCU the best way he knows how without making the Netflix stuff full on canon. Because he doesn't like the person that run the Netflix stuff.
Yeah, ran it.
Yep.
Loeb, right?
Yeah, he's
Jeff
kind
Loeb
of
and Ike Perlmutter.
It's kind of they're both kind of shitty people from what I mean, definitely Ike Perlmutter, but then Jeff Loeb, apparently he was being pretty anti-Asian on the Daredevil sets and stuff. So
yeah, I heard about that.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah,
I just whatever. I mean, I just I could see why Kevin did.
I think that like the
like
quote that somebody that the guy that played Nobu said that he like nobody cares about Asian people or something like that. Just like something, just the most crass, fucking gross shit, man.
Yeah.
Like,
he was like, Jeff said some remark about like how nobody really, like you said, nobody really cares about Asian people or something like that.
Yeah.
I was just like, that is just the most,
just some weird stuff. Yeah.
Now, as far as Kingpin goes, though, Ty, like you said that it feels weird to just have him but like in the comics, Kingpin is, he's mostly associated with Daredevil, but secondly, he's associated with Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah.
But he's popped up in lots of different stuff. That's
he's
kind
a
of what's
big
cool
mob
about
boss.
him.
No,
Yeah,
he owns New York.
Yeah, and I get that. I'm just what I'm thinking is like, I'm not talking about the villain himself, but the idea of the Netflix characters coming into this universe. To introduce it with Kingpin first, I think might be I don't know, wasted opportunity. I think I would introduce Charlie first. And then
maybe if he's in Spider-Man, then maybe they're getting introduced around the same time. Yeah,
because the rumor is that he'll be in either episode 4 or 5, and that's like right around No Way Home.
Yeah,
like the week before, the week after. So it's like a double punch, So
right.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah, that's true.
Like,
I was thinking
Kingpin,
about it.
And then here's Charlie, or here's Charlie and Kingpin in the same week, or bum. Like you get Wednesday.
Imagine that.
Tuesday
Oh my
Wednesday.
God, the internet would fucking light up in a good way. In a good way.
And I also think that honestly, Disney Plus should change their release schedule with next year coming up with the possibilities of Star Wars and Marvel and the other original series and their animated series all possibly coming out on the same day. Because Marvel and Star Wars are their big IPs right now on Disney Plus. And them coming out, like them having Andor and possibly She-Hulk be lining up, then you can have like.
When does She-Hulk come out?
Bye, Allison.
It's possibly
Early next year,
spring.
bro.
We don't know yet. We don't know
like
the
late
date.
spring, early summer type
I'm
thing.
wondering, should I be keeping my Disney Plus? 'Cause, man,
You could probably
And then,
turn it off for like 3 months, 4 months.
Pause
right
that.
now there's just nothing on there
But
for me. I've seen
when-
everything on there.
Book of Fett comes out when?
The week after the finale of Hawkeye, which is
Yes,
December
you-
29th.
Okay, yeah, you just
Basically
just
next
throw
year.
it up. Yeah, you'd have to wait a while. But so that's gonna do it for tonight, guys. I really do want to say thank you to Dane most of all. All these other guys are regulars, but Dane, thank you for stopping by. I know it was kind of a weird introduction to each other, but
No, man, it's great. I happened to find you. I was happened to look
yeah.
on
How
YouTube.
did you know that I was doing
Random.
that?
Random. You were in
Really?
my recommendations. I saw my name in the title of a video. At first, I was like, "Uh-oh, it's some of these geeks and gamers type dudes." And I looked and I still wasn't sure. I mean, you seem, definitely didn't seem as hostile as all that. And but yeah, it just was happened to spot you, man. And then you reached out and I checked out your Twitter and stuff and your videos, and you seem like a cool guy, and you are. So I appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah, no, and more conversations to come because I know we didn't even scratch the surface on some other stuff. So, I do want to say thank you as well to RJ, William, and Caden. You have to be here, so I'm not going to thank you too much.
Wow.
but-
Okay.
So Dane, where can they find you if they don't already know?
Yeah, my channel is called Forced Adversity. The link is youtube.com/actual context. And then I also have a smaller channel that just focuses on comics and movies. None of the other, bigoted nonsense. Just it's called Crack-a-Boom Movies and Comics. Yeah, check it out.
Beautiful. RJ, you're up, kid.
Yeah, pretty easy to find if you want to follow me. Just Resonant Justice, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, all that good stuff. So, yeah.
Is that it? Oh, you can find me in Vegas.
William. Sorry.
There you go.
Check out William on the at the Sci-Fi Center. You have to actually go there though, because that's when it's, that's what it's worth it for. Can you bring me into like a big mode like you did for them? Thank you. So I just want to do this again. So this month's November giveaway, I'm giving away. We have a lot of streamers, as I've said before, in our membership. So I bought this microphone, and I never used it. I bought it like a month or 2 months ago. I paid $150 for it, so I decided I'm just going to give it away this month. It's a USB microphone, so if you stream alone, I use XLR, so I really don't need it anyway. I just was going to buy it to use in my for work, but I have 18 microphones, so I don't really need it. I just was, pandemic money, right? So I'm giving it away. You have to join the tier that's like $4.99 and above to get that. Other than that, all members are eligible for this Superior Octopus I've been trying to give away for 1 year. I had like 3 of them, so I'm giving that one away in lieu of the No Way Home stuff. So I'll announce the winners on December 1st, and all you have to do to enter is be a member before then, right? That's how it works. Other than that, thank you all for showing up tonight, and to all those in the future who watch, I love you. That's it for tonight. We'll see you next time.